What is up, friends? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you live. We're live right now. And I'm happy to tell you that we have a great guest for you, and we're going to get to him in a second. But first, we got to give some love to our sponsors. You guys know and love them, and if you don't, you should learn to love them because they pay us the monies. What's that? Am I wearing the shirt of one of the sponsors right now? Absolutely. Look at this, Manscaped. You can go to Manscaped right now, use the promo code VerbalTap. You'll get 20% off of whatever you put there. It's good for your health. It's good for maintenance. It's good for making sure that you look okay because, sometimes you look pretty garbage. And it's also a good way of showing some support to your friends over here at the Verbal Tap. Additionally, if you want to give some love to our friends over at Nogi BJJ, who have rebranded to a thing called Martial X, go give them some love. Use the promo code. I think it's Grappling Hour 15, and you'll save 15% off of whatever you put in your cart. And of course, last but not least, please give some love to our friends over at Dodgy Collective. Look at their rash guards. Look at their spats. They have amazing artwork all over the place. You can't beat it. Speaking of can't beat, this young man that we have on here today, he's very talented. I've known him as the little brother to another highly accomplished jiu-jitsu practitioner. And according to his brother, this is what we're going to find out today, but according to his brother, he's a little bit of the troublemaker of the family. He's the instigator. And it's hard to really figure that out. He's got like a little bit of a fun streak in him. So I wonder if that's the case. You may have seen him competing basically at every tournament there is in Texas. You might have been wondering, why is this blue belt murdering everybody? Well, good news, everybody. He's a purple belt now. And it got to the point where Third Coast Grappling had to come up with new and ridiculous ways to try and give him fights. I kid you not, they even went as far as trying to give him 3-4 opponents in one night to see who could submit young Andrew Tackett. So after his last performance at Third Coast Grappling, we decided to bring him on the show to not only get a little bit more of the story behind him, but also talk a little bit about how he was able to win the very first Third Coast Grappling's no-gi some time limit match against one Derek Anderson. But today, let's go ahead and welcome for the very first time the young and very talented one Andrew Tackett. Andrew, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I got to tell you, kid, it was really ridiculous to see Third Coast Grappling coming up with more and more inventive ways to try and murder you. Was that your design or was that their design?
So Ryan, the promoter of Third Coast, he messaged me and he was like, "Hey, Andrew, what do you think about this idea?" And I was like, "I'm all for it." And he's like, and he basically, when we came up first off with the 3-against-1, which never actually went through because we kept having dropouts, we kept having arenas shut down, but we will get that in the future. But then we went to the no time limit. He was like, "Okay, we can't get the 3-versus-1. Let's try to get the no time limit versus a very skillful opponent." And we were trying to come up with an opponent because we're having a hard time finding someone to get for me. But we ended up getting Damien, which is a very skillful purple belt out of John Danaher's school in New York. And he's very good at leg locks. He's very good at passings of all sort. He's good at sweeps and lock guard. He's a very well-rounded fighter. So going into the fight, I knew that it was going to be a good fight, and I knew to be like prepared for it. And also knowing that it was going to be like basically an hour-long fight, I was like, okay, I got to work my cardio like every single day. So just the preparation for it, I was just doing major cardio and eating right and getting to sleep early every day and just thinking about winning.
Okay, let's go twofold on this. One, every time they came up with a different ridiculous thing for you, normally I'd give them more mess about it, but because it was you, I kind of said, I know he's up for it. And I know that he's looking for big scale fun matches. So I kind of said, I'm not going to make fun of Ryan too much for these things. But when you did get Damien as an opponent, I thought to myself, that's a great match. Like, gimmick, no gimmick, that's 100% a match that seems very interesting. He's young as well. He's very talented. He comes from a very, very prestigious group of guys who compete. a great savage. And for somebody like you, who I'm sure not only because of your age, but sometimes your proximity, it's hard to sometimes match you up. So you mentioned cardio, but what was the first thing that went through your mind when you finally got like a higher profile match?
The first thing that went through my mind was basically the same as any other fight. I've been fighting since I was like 6 years old. So like I don't get really nervous for fights anymore. Like I don't go into a match like nervous and shy and just guessing what to do. I knew what I was wanting to do. I knew that he was a guard player. I knew he was going to pull guard on me, and I knew I was a better wrestler. So my preparation for it was just keep my cool, don't get ahead of myself, and just look for opening in his game, because I knew he would be playing on his back. And when you have a passer and a guard player, usually the guard player is looking for attacks because guard is a more of a attacking position, and the passer is looking for openings to basically pass their guard. So I was just trying to stay calm the first like 30 minutes of the fight to try to look for openings and just basically find holes in his game. So that was just my strategy going in: look for holes, stay calm, and don't tire out myself.
Okay. That's a tall order, because I'm glad that you knew that there would be some sort of problems in terms of it going forever. So I'm glad that you planned for that. Let's talk a little bit about day of. You guys start the competition. You knew it would go long. At what point did you get the moment or the realization, oh, this is not going to be a fast finish? We might be here for a while.
Well, I knew by honestly like days before just watching Damien. I always like to study my opponents like months before the fight, and then days before the fight, don't even think about the fight, nothing, because I feel like sometimes when you like you don't research your opponent, and then like the day of or day before you start researching him, you just psych out your body. So I knew going in, I was like, this guy's hard to submit. I was like, he trains with Nick, he trains with Gordon, he trains with all these people that are submission artists. Like, this guy's going to have very good submission defense. So, and as I saw him warming up, I saw him practicing all sorts of drills that was to loosen up his arms, his legs, and his neck and everything. I was like, okay, he's knows he is going to get stuck in a submission. I was like, he knows he's not going to get submitted. So I was just preparing myself while watching him and watching his game. And I was like, oh boy, I was like, this one's going to be long. Like, usually I can like tell, like I can look at someone, I can look at their game, and I can be like, okay, if I get a position on this guy, I know I can submit them. But like just looking at Damien, I was like, he looks like he's going to be hard to submit. So yeah, I knew it was going to go long. So I just try to prepare myself for that as long as possible.
You looked really calm throughout it. Have you had a roll go that long ever before?
No, not even close. The longest roll I've had was probably 10 minutes, and that was with Cody or William in the gym. We usually don't do super long rolls. We usually try to do a lot more specific training. So my training for that fight was basically just long runs, long assault bike sessions, and just long every thing, trying to make my rolls longer, my breathing, trying to breathe before and after practice so I can get a hold of my lungs. And so yeah, it was crazy just going into it. I was like, I think going through my head, I was like, wow, it's already 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I was like, I don't know how long it's going to go.
So your brother was coaching you, right? He was on the sidelines. Did at any point, because he still had to go on later that night, did he go out and get a snack? Did he leave the mats at any time? Did he take a momentary break? Because it's fun when you're in the role, but when you're the coach, you're kind of like, man, can we, I still have a match a little bit later, dude.
Yes. Well, Cody and William both had a match after me, and they were both like the first like 10 minutes of the fight, they're like, let's go, woo, let's go, and they were all hyping me up. And then like 15 minutes, they started getting on their phones, and I would just look over, I would see Cody or William on his phone, and then I would see them get off their phone. They're like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I look back over, they're on their phones. It was, I mean, we weren't like trying to kill each other to fight, because we kind of, as a fighter, like when you're not going to submit the guy, you're like, okay, I'm not going to submit this guy. It's just not going to happen. So you start like settling down your game and trying to like figure out ways just to like tire them out. So basically, like once it caught past 10 minutes, like we were just trying to figure out ways to tire each other out. Like he was trying to kick me in the stomach, I was trying to like grab his throat. Like we were just trying to do like basically dirty ways to tire each other out. And it was a fun fight. I did not enjoy it the day after. I was very sore, but during the fight, it was extremely fun because it was honestly just like a rough flow roll the whole time.
Did you at any point think that you were close to getting him? Because I thought that you showed really good positional awareness throughout, which is hard to maintain when you have a sub-only match. Like, most people kind of understand when there's no time limit, there's going to be an ebb and flow to it. But I think that what I was appreciating about what you were doing was you were consistently trying to maintain and establish a dominant position when you could.
Yeah, so getting in your opponent's head is very important for fights. Like, you can see UFC fighters and people like smack talking, trying to get in their fighter's head however they can. And if you just positionally win the battle at every point in the fight, you are going to have a mental advantage over your opponent. So I was just constantly reminding myself not to let him get a dominant position on me, but not to tire myself out to escape a dominant position. So I was just looking constantly to control him, but not to overdo myself to control him. Like, I passed him, I believe, the first time, and I had an underhook on his far side, and I was trying to get the underhook on his near side, but he was doing a very good job of keeping his elbows close and staying balled up. So I thought I was going to take his back right there, because I thought I could just pull his hips up and hop to the other side, grab his trap, and pull him over. And as I went for that, we both had no shirts on, so he kind of just slid right off. And that was a big problem in the fight, I believe, for both of us, just how slippery we were. Like, it was almost like we were like lotioned or oiled up. We were so slippery. Like, it was horrible how slippery we were. And yeah, after the first time I tried to take his back and I felt how slippery we both were, my game plan kind of changed. I wasn't looking to take his back. I was looking more to get him to attack so that I could attack off of his attack.
Yeah, it's smart. It's part of the reason why I tell guys who fight MMA, like, listen, I know you're training with the rash guard and you might think that your jiu-jitsu works in these ways, but when that slipperiness happens, you have to almost build that into your jiu-jitsu. And
exactly.
It's so hard and stupid to think about, but like, you might have a technically good position, and granted, they may not be rolling for as long as you are, but if you're used to getting a certain armbar a certain way and then they slip out, nobody's going to stop the fight and be like, well, congrats, you almost got it. So
yeah,
that was something that I thought was there. I'm going to get to the end of the match in a second, but as a competitor, you mentioned there's Cody, you mentioned there's William, who are kind of on their phones.
Yeah.
The crowd seemed very, very enthusiastic because they seemed to like you.
Yes.
What was your interpretation of the crowd and how they kind of fluctuated all the way till the end?
I was very happy. I always try to fight for the crowd. I feel like jiu-jitsu is a very technical sport. So for an audience perspective, sometimes it can be more on the boring technical side. As far as if you're MMA, you can just start throwing hands and slugging and hope to knock someone out. And that's very interesting to watch. So I always try to do things that interest the crowd. And to see that the crowd was liking what I was doing, it was making me really happy. And it was making my adrenaline and everything go up. So I was just psyched in the moment. And I also had a lot of friends in the crowd. So every single time we rolled out of bounds or we fell out of bounds and I'd walk back on the mat, I could just see them like, yeah, let's go. And I was like, yeah, let's go.
I was laughing because the commentary doesn't seem to fit what was happening. So at the very first couple minutes, they knew it's going to be a long match. But at the 5-minute mark, they were already saying, well, what happens if this goes longer? Now, as a guy who does commentary, the responsibility is on the guys talking to make it interesting for that time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
when they were saying, like, I don't know how this crowd's going to be, I was sitting at home being like, shut up. Don't tell the crowds to get angry. Don't start a mob rule by being like, this is boring. Because even with what you guys were doing, the frustration is that you guys are too well matched. Not that you guys aren't trying to kill one another. Not that you guys aren't trying to give a finish throughout. Because one of the things you can say about that match, or your interpretations of no gi, no time limit match, it could be that you just don't like that sort of format, but it's the grueling and really most finalized version of a finish that we get. So that's kind of why we do those things. Having said that.
Exactly. I agree with you. I've rewatched that fight a couple of times, and the whole time the commentators were like, they weren't telling what was going on. They were trying to predict what was going to happen and why it was happening, and it just wasn't working out. But I mean, it was still interesting to listen to them. But I definitely would have liked someone that was explaining what we were doing and how we were doing it and how hard it was for us to do it. Because when you're fighting for 50 minutes, your forearms get extremely tired. My problem when I fight, it's not my legs or it's not my cardio. I've actually only have ever had my cardio get affected once in my life in a tournament, and that was versus Ethan Krallenstein, and that was a tiny match. But it's usually my forearms, and when your forearms go, it's horrible. It's very bad because your grips, you can't grab anything, and when you can't grab anything, you can't seem to secure anything. And when you secure anything, you start to lose hope, and you start to get in your mind. You're like, oh man, I can't do anything to this guy. So I feel like they did a good job, but they definitely could have been more into the fight.
Here's what I would say. Commentating is a very hard gig. I just always think this person is going to hear this at some point. And if there's not at least, like, I'm not above doing jokes and sometimes trying to fill the time. Like, I get that. That's a very tough role. But if the match goes 40 minutes, it's your job to explain and kind of keep people engaged and, like, tell people, you don't know how hard this is. You don't know how difficult this is if you're feeling this sucks. It's not the athletes that suck. So all I could think about was, I was always like, dude, when he sees this, it's not going to be fair in the respect of, in the moment, that's how they felt, and that's what they were saying. But the rest of us who were watching it, just kind of feeling bad for both you and Damien and going, this is going to go into 50 minutes. This is never going to end. There is no quit.
I had so many people message me, and they were like, I was watching you on my couch. I went and got dinner, came back, you were fighting. I went and took a shower, came back, you were fighting. I went to the restroom, came back, you were fighting. They were like, how'd you do it? And I was just like, I don't know.
And anybody who's ever had a long roll like that, they'll tell you sometimes you just get caught up in it. You don't actually really know what the time is. You lose track of time. So exactly. you kind of get in this weird other dimension of just trying to stay on focus and try and end the match as best you can. So at what point do they tell you guys that something is going to change in the rules? Because to the rest of us who were watching it, people were asking me, they shot me messages, and I wasn't even doing a live companion for that one. But they asked me, Raph, can you tell me what just happened there? And I thought, because I wasn't listening to the commentary at this point, I thought you had potentially injured Damien. And I felt really bad because I saw the takedown and I said, oh, is he hurt? Is that why he's not continuing? And then in retrospect was told it had turned into an almost overtime setting because it had been going on for too long. So because I was confused, I thought other people might be as well. When did that change?
So basically around the 45-minute mark, everybody in the crowd, all the fighters, the promotion, the commentators, the refs, they all realized that we were so well matched and we were so well, like, put together and we knew each other's games already because we rolled for more than a half hour, that that it was due to go on forever. We could have still been fighting till today, and so the promotion had to come up with a way to solve it. So they briefly stopped the match and told us, I was on top, he was on bottom, and they said at the 50-minute mark, we are going to go to a no time limit, first to score, golden rule. We both looked at the ref and we said, thank you. We both looked at the ref. I remember we were both so relieved and we were both very happy, or at least I was, because I could have still been fighting till today, but I didn't want to. Right. And so that was the reason why they chose to do a golden rule, first to score, because for the sake of the other fighters and also for the sake of the audience, and also because I had to be out of that venue by midnight, from what I understand.
God, that was the part I guess I didn't know, but it makes logical sense that you only have a permit or the ability to be at a certain place for that long. I just knew, and again, my heart hurt for both you and Damien, because I knew how much work you put into it, that because the rules had changed, there might be some blowback. Like, there might be some people, especially fans of that format, or people who don't like that format, who already have a predisposed opinion, who are going to express how they feel about it, or use it as an example of how they feel. So, yes, in that respect, I felt for you and him.
Yeah, I got a lot of DMs and a lot of messages that were upset with me. Like, they were like, man, you should have won that fight. Just because it went to golden rule, you wouldn't have won. And like, you got to look at people like that and that don't really know the circumstances, and you just got to appreciate them and not get mad at them. But you also got to realize that they don't know 100% what they're talking about. And when you learn exactly why they did it, it makes 100% sense.
Sure.
Because if we would have went past midnight, they would have ended up losing money because they would have went over their deal with the company. But
I just always wonder what makes people, if you just explain it out loud, sometimes people understand exactly what they're doing. But what makes people direct message a 17-year-old kid who is not the promoter of the event as to air their grievances with you? You know, like, oh, you wouldn't have won that. I want to talk shit to you. And it's kind of like, okay, well, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to just go on about my day. Have a nice one. Like, to me, those are things that I see in comment sections that become abysses of just stupidity. Like, really terrible people and comments saying the worst. And sometimes they're actually really nice people that just feel a certain way and get charged. And I don't understand why you would do that. Like, no matter how critical we are, we love Third Coast Grappling. We want to see them succeed. We want to see you and Damien succeed. So to message either one of you as if you're culprits in it is like, you were just doing a job. Like, you literally went out there and both of you wanted to finish and you wanted to win really bad. What did you and Damien say to each other at the end of that match then?
Like, when we finished?
When you guys were finished, because I'm curious, when you spend that much time in a match with somebody, if words are exchanged after the fact.
I mean, you spend that much time with anybody, you love them. So I love Damien. But I don't exactly remember. It was kind of like a big blur the whole night because right when I finished. I mean, I didn't eat all that day because I've done a bunch of sub only before, and I knew that if you eat, you do get cramps, and it affects your performance. So I had no food or no water in my stomach, so I was sucked up. And after the fight, I was just trying to gasp for food and water. So I believe I shook his hand and I said, "I love you, man. That was a crazy fight. That you're awesome." And I just couldn't really like figure out the words to say except like how happy I was. And I'm sure he wasn't as happy as I was because he spent 50 minutes for nothing. But I mean, he did get a big recognition to that fight. But he told me, "Great job. You have a great future." And I definitely look forward to rolling with you again. And he was very nice. A lot of people when I get done fighting them, they're not nice to me at all. And I mean, I'm not usually nice to the person that beats me, but he was very nice to me. And I believe I did hurt his shin when he fell off the mat into the light, and that wasn't on purpose, but low key was. But yeah, he took it very well. Damien's a super cool guy, and he definitely earned my respect, and I like him. So yeah.
What did the promoters say to you? Like, what did Ryan say to you after it was all said and done? Because I know him pretty well,
Yeah.
and I know how he treats his fighters, and I know that to make that big of a switch, I know that he had to feel bad in a respect as well.
I have no idea. I don't, I forgot, but knowing, he probably said something like, "You're crazy. You're just crazy." And then I probably said something like, "Thank you so much, sir." And he's like, "No, you're just crazy." Like he does, but Ryan's a super cool guy. I like Ryan, and he's a good businessman, and he does everything right, or he tries to.
So does this mean that you still will do a 3-person try to submit you sort of thing? Like, now that you've had this showcase 50 minutes of grappling on there, are you still up for whatever shenanigans they have for you?
Well, I'm definitely don't want to do a no time limit again. That's like my least favorite word, is no time limit. But I would 100% be down for a 3 back-to-back submit Andrew challenge. That would be super cool, and I would definitely like that. I think Third Coast has great ideas. They have great different ideas. They bring wrestlers in a jiu-jitsu fight. They do no time limits. They're opening up the jiu-jitsu field for the public to watch, and definitely respect for them. So whatever they have for me, I'm down to do, because I just want to be a part of their journey, and I want them to be a part of my journey, and it would be pretty cool to do.
Well, with all due respect, I think you have earned a spot with some higher ranked talent, and I think that people should want to get a match with you. I mean, I think that there's almost a marketing pitch of saying, why don't you try and submit the guy that couldn't be submitted in 50 minutes? Like, so now there's got to be an appeal to those people who are competitors.
Yes. And
Let's get it.
and also, I also have submitted in a super long time. The last time I was submitted was in ADCC trials of, I think, 2015 or 16, so it was a while ago, or 17, 16, 15, 17, something like that. But I just got my blue belt. I was like 15 years old, and Ty Rotolo submitted me in a Dar's choke after we were having a crazy battle of like sweep, 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 takedown, 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 fall out bounce, and then I shot in, and he ended up submitting me. So that was the last time I've been submitted in competition, and my game's improved a lot from then. My patience and my rolling IQ has improved. So I feel like I'm very hard to submit. So I feel like if anybody wants to fight me, and if they don't want to fight me, I feel like go ahead and fight me, because it's going to be hard to submit me. It's going to be pretty hard to win too. So and also I like to make things exciting. So if you fight me, we're going to have an exciting match, and we're going both to get a big publicity through it.
Angel Diaz just chimed in and said Andrew is a beast, with a emoji that has the breathing out heavy. So he means that emphatically, that you are a beast. So that's high praise from a good friend of the show. I would tell you this, though. I feel like even for the people who I know, who have rolled with you, my secret shoppers, if you would, who have had good rolls with you and say nothing but great things, I think just from what you put out there, it should be more and more people should want to challenge you and get those kind of things out there. Because from an audience side, you know, part of the reason why we put this off for so long, as I've always said, it's not your body of work. It's already good. Like, you have already got a good trajectory. You've already got good training partners that keep you guys focused. Like you, Cody, and your brother, there is something that is special about that group. And I think that more and more people are becoming aware of that as you guys train. And we see you guys every single day lifting every weight as stupidly as possible for as many reps. Like, it's impressive, dude. So I feel like you definitely should be in those conversations now, and we look forward to seeing what's happening. But let's go back a little bit. Let's go and start about the origin story. I've talked with your brother. I know a little bit about your origin story, but I've never gotten to ask you personally. So where does jiu-jitsu begin for you, sir?
Jiu-jitsu began when I was just turned 6. I was basically 5. I just turned 6 years old. I was playing soccer at the time. I had long hair. I was super skinny. I mean, I'm still skinny, but I was extremely skinny. And my dad looked at me and he said, "We don't want you to get bullied. We don't want you to get beat up and stuff. So let's get you in a contact sport." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Let's get you and your brother in a contact sport." I was like, "Perfect." So we went to this wrestling barn. It was this red barn, tin barn that you went inside, and it was green turf and it had mats on it. And it was a wrestling place, and they did jiu-jitsu, and they had 2 students. This was a long time ago. Jiu-jitsu was not popular. Breakpoint was the best gi out there, and corral was a good gi as well. So it was a long time ago. And when I went to my first class, there was a girl and boy there, and I remember I was like, okay. I was like, let's do this. We started up with the warm-ups. We went to rolling, and I got paired up with the girl. I was like, no way am I going to let this girl beat me. And she ended up taking me down. She took my back. She choked me. Then I was like, whoa. Then she choked me again. She choked me again. She choked me again. And I was pretty butthurt. I like started to tear up. I remember I was like, no way did this girl just submit me. And my dad took me to the car after class, and he was like, "Do you like it?" And I was like, "I love it." I was like, "I've never been beat up by a girl before." And I was like, "I want to beat her up so bad." So I just remember going through my head, I'm going to train until I beat this girl. And by the time I ended up beating her, I was like a yellow belt, and she was like an orange belt. And when I first submitted her, I was like, yes. I was like, finally. And then I was in love with the sport. From there, I was just going to practice as much as possible. Our school was growing, more kids were coming, and I just loved it. I couldn't stop doing it. I couldn't stop rolling. I couldn't stop choking people, getting choked, arm barring people, getting arm barred. I just loved it so much. And then from there, we ended up our location of our school moved to Pflugerville. The school that we started off with was called Teamer Body. The instructor is Robbie Rabati, a very cool guy. He's a huge guy, and he's very technical as well. So, and we trained there for about 8 years, and we ended up moving from Robbie's to Brazilian Fight Factory because journeys move on. Everybody's journey moves on. They go from one place to another, and our journey was moving on. So we moved from Teamer Body, which is a great school, to Brazilian Fight Factory. And Rodrigo at this time I was like just turning 14. I was a green belt, and Rodrigo just rolled with me, and he just sat there on the mat like this, and I couldn't submit him. He let me pass his guard, and he just sat there like he was laying. I couldn't submit him. And then Cody suplexed me, and then I was like, whoa. I was like, this school is so cool. And from there, we were just learning how to basically our wrestling part of our game, our pressure passing part of our game. Because William and I were both guard players. We love to use our flexibility. We love to hurt our disc in our backs. We love to go inverted and just hurt ourselves. We were big-time guard players. Mm-hmm. And Rodrigo basically took our game and turned us into passers, pressure passers, constantly looking to put our opponents in like a tough position. So that's basically my story of jiu-jitsu, starting off as a little kid, transferring to a bigger school, learning how to hurt people rather than just lay there and shoot up a triangle and hope for the best. So
was that your first time meeting Cody when he suplexed you, or had you met him before?
I mean, he didn't suplex me hard, but yeah, I met him out on it. It was an on it invitational. He suplexed the guy, knocked the guy out, basically jumped on the guy's back and choked him. Cody's very known for that fight, and I saw that and I was like, whoa. I was like, I've never seen a guy just slam someone before. So I was like, I gotta get in that school. And he came to our school. He rolled with us, and I was like, whoa, there's something different about Cody and his aggression. So I was like, I want to learn how to be aggressive like him. And then I did.
Well, I mean, we see you guys all the time. There's the very infamous flow grappling footage that they have of, I believe it's your brother and Cody rolling, that they post up every couple years just to remind us, or every couple months just to remind us how lazy the rest of us are. Like, you see one like half second of that clip. I've messaged them on many occasions and been like, yo, ask them to take that clip down for the rest of us who just are just trying to out there and having a good roll. But man, no, that's impressive. That is cool to hear. I know it seems like it was instantaneous that you wanted to do it, but for you to make this a career or a passion or something that you pursue, there has to be a moment that you fall in love with it. Do you remember the exact moment you fell in love with jiu-jitsu? And if so, can you describe what that might have been?
I'm pretty sure it was the moment the girl choked me out. As soon as I'm a very, I try not to be, but I'm very cocky. I try not to be, but it's just naturally I am. I try to be humble, but I just am not sometimes. So when I rolled with the girl and she choked me, I was just heartbroken. I was just like, oh my God. And I was like, I love it. I love it. I was like, I gotta do it. I gotta beat her. So that was just me falling in love with it, just trying to beat her. And then that's basically how I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, just wanting to beat someone. And then before I knew it, like, it just happened. Like, I was like, whoa. I was like, this is just awesome. And I mean, I didn't grow up doing sports. I mean, I grew up playing soccer before jiu-jitsu, but that was the only sport I played, and I would roll around with my dad all the time as a little kid. So I wasn't like super athletic, but when I got into jiu-jitsu, it just like unlocked something in me, and I saw that it unlocked in me, and it was a good thing, and I was like, I really like this. And even at like a little 6-year-old, I knew it was the right thing for me. I knew learning how to defend myself and learning how to train and how to grapple was right for me.
I'll be very clear in saying the Tackett version of cocky is still not that bad. Like, we'll be very clear, because I see you guys and I know that you're competitive with each other, but it's a healthy form of competition. And I know that you guys aren't opposed to saying who had the best sprint, or I don't know, from the stories that I've heard, who eats the most. So I do you really? Because that concerns me, especially when you say that you went for a 50-minute match and you didn't eat all day. I just imagine, like Kirby, you just kind of inhaled a whole bunch of food and it just found its way into you after that match. So
yeah.
I am concerned about that. And why are you guys so competitive about things in jiu-jitsu that do not matter? Like, why is that ingrained in your personality?
Well, Cody is not my blood brother, but I love Cody like a brother. If anything was to happen to Cody, I would feel like it's happening to myself. I really like Cody. I really like my brother William. And my little brother Caleb. We're all so close, and we're like a big family. So, I mean, anything we do, we try to be better at it. Like, when we're lifting weights, I'm like, is that all you can do? I'm like, I can do more than that. And we just constantly try to push each other. And when we all go out to eat together, I'm like, I'll take the extra large spaghetti and meatballs with a salad, with the extra side of this. And Cody's like, make that 2 extra sides. And William's like, make that 3 extra sides. And I'll be like, make that 4 extra sides. And then we'll sit down and I'll be like, I'm going to eat more than you guys. It's like, it's just, we're constantly competing with each other. And I feel like it's healthy, because if you're not competing with each other, you're competing with yourself. And competing with each other, since we're all so close and we know each other so well, it's like we're competing with ourselves.
I feel bad for your family and the food bills that must be aligned to whatever is happening here, because it cannot be cheap to pay for all of the food that you guys are consuming. Having said that, I would also ask this question, which is, amongst you guys, is the food eating the dumbest thing that you compete at, or is there something even more ridiculous that you have done? Because to me, the food eating is also, at a certain point, it's going to only hurt you. And I think that that's a bad choice. But is there something sillier that you guys have found yourself being like, I can't believe we're competing at horseshoes, but it became really important?
Acrobatics. We here lately for like the past couple months, we're trying to get William on it. So shout out to William. You got to get on the acrobatics train. But Cody and I have been competing on who can do the coolest stuff. Last month it started with like handstands and stuff like that. A couple weeks ago it was handstands into a kip up into a one-legged pistol squat. We compete with each other in like gymnastic stuff like dips and all sorts of stuff. But this week we're trying to learn how to do, I don't know how you call it, but it's the one-legged front flip where you're on your leg and you swing your other leg and then you go around, you land.
Yeah.
And we're trying to see who can get it first. So that's basically what, like I said a couple of days ago, I was like, let's learn how to do this, Cody. And Cody's like, I'm down. I was like, I'm going to get it before you. And he's like, no, you're not. So we were just in the gym trying to learn how to do it. We didn't even know how to do it. We were just basically hurting ourselves, just slamming our mat. And we got to the point, like my ankles are bruised right now as my heels like hit each other. And I was like, oh, I'm done. And then, so basically we compete with each other and everything. But I say that's the stupidest thing, we compete with each other and on who can do the coolest flips and stuff. But because it's just such a dumb idea because we don't know how to do it. We don't really research on how to do it. We just try to do it. We just try to do it. We don't even really like try to get the details. We're just like, okay, swing your leg, let's try it. And we just try it. It doesn't work.
It also seems like there's not a criteria. It's just when you say who can do it the coolest way, it's open to interpretation, and it feels like that could be something where if there's no distinct winner there, that can go on forever. In fact, to be blunt, I'm not worried about you guys getting hurt in competition, even though we are a very, very contact-based sport where injuries can happen. I'm more concerned about when I see the videos of you guys in the gym and I go, oh, God, I'm worried about you guys making it to your next match in 2 months.
Yeah. We have very good people that help us out. We have a doctor named Dr. Bob. He's a very high-level doctor. I don't know if he wants me to shout him out, so I'm not going to, but he's very technical. He's a very cool guy. I really like him, and he gives us great advice on our bodies. He doesn't just basically help us and fix us like a chiropractor. He actually really never does that. He just gives us advice. He teaches us what to do on how to prevent our injuries happening on your main ligaments, like your disc, your knees, your hips, your everything that a jiu-jitsu practitioner would hurt. He teaches us how to not hurt. So when we're doing stuff like that, we definitely could hurt ourselves, but we know like the line not to cross. And basically we try to always get as much sleep as possible because sleep is like the #1 healer for your body. So I mean, and also we're all really young. We're not old people. So I mean, if we hurt ourselves, we might be able to sleep it off.
Jesus. Well, I'm glad that you're not your own doctors and that you have someone else who could be like, sleep will not cure this gash, but sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm wondering this because I don't have a brother that does jiu-jitsu with me. What for you has been the best element about having not only a brother that has a good sense of direction for it and a good head on his shoulders, but like having somebody that you can rely on as a training partner? Like, how has that relationship developed over the years in terms of you guys becoming a team that's going to compete with people on a very, very large scale?
It's amazing. I thank God that he gave a brother to me that's only 2 years older and that we're so similar in so many ways. If I did not have a brother that did jiu-jitsu, I would not be as aggressive and I would not challenge myself. William and I we drive we ride home together, we eat together. We just got separate rooms. We've lived in the same room for 17 years of my life. We just got separate rooms. So William and I have always been extremely close. He'll show me a technique. I'll show him a technique. we'll drill together, we'll lift together, we'll train together, we eat together, we drink together. It's amazing. I love William so much, and I'm so glad that he's in my life just to push me, and for me to push him as well. It's just having him when I'm doing something wrong. He knows me so well. He can be like, Andrew, you shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing this. And I'm like, I should listen to you. You know me better than I know myself, and vice versa as well. But
Would you agree with the categorization, though, that you are more of the troublemaker amongst your group? And why would that be a perception that has been told to me from other people than just your brother or Cody, maybe from other people as well?
don't tell my parents, but I'm crazy. I'm not supposed to party and stuff, but I love to. It To be a great athlete, you have to put things like that aside. You have to not go out with friends. You have to sacrifice a lot to be the best. And a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that you can't do this and you can't do that to do this. It's your body only can take so much before it's broken down. But any chance I get, I do like to have fun. I am very crazy. I'm very sporadic. I have crazy ADHD. William is definitely more calm. He thinks about what he does before he does it. He's a lot more wise than me. I just, if I think something's right, I'll just do it. I'll be like, okay, let's do it. It sounds good to me. Let's do it. And it's definitely something I need to work on. But I'm glad that I'm like this because I have fun a lot in things. Like I'll have fun in a road trip, sitting in a car by myself. I'll have fun sitting in a corner by myself. I'll have fun doing anything because it's just the person I am. I have fun. So I'm glad that I'm like this, and I'm glad that William's like that because we're two opposites, and we definitely help each other out with our opposites. I think he brings out the smart side in me, and I bring out the fun side in him, which is amazing.
That's a good dynamic. That's good for brothers to have. I think in every family dynamic, we also have moments where, say, my sisters act a certain way. My job is to be a certain way because it rounds out the family and it gives you a wealth of experiences. So it can be very beneficial. I just like that. Even, I think in passing, I kind of told you that once. And I think I said, I was like, when I do the interview, we will ask about this. And you kind of shot me this smile that was kind of like, who, me? The troublemaker? And I was like, that's exactly what a troublemaker would do. Like, that's 100% the way they would respond. So I knew right then and there. What are you doing, though, when you aren't doing jiu-jitsu? Because this is all in consuming. This is all you and your brother. I see how often you're at training. I see he's told me the schedule that he has. And I know that's insane. How are you, a person who is training as a professional? Like, what are you doing when you aren't doing jiu-jitsu?
Well, I try to always keep my mind on being an athlete. It doesn't always happen. I mean, my schedule usually consists of waking up in the morning, going to weights, going to noon class after, coming home, doing school because I'm still in high school, and doing school, and then going to jiu-jitsu at night. And if I want to, on weekends, I will go out and I'll hang out with friends, and I'll have fun with them. But immediately come back home, get my sleep, start it all again. I teach privates here and there. I try to teach as many privates as I can, but mostly I'm either doing school, doing jiu-jitsu, or trying to read my Bible and pray. That's 100% my schedule. And in between those, like while I'm doing school, I'm eating. While I'm in the car going to jiu-jitsu, I'm eating. While I'm coming home from jiu-jitsu, I'm eating. Like I'm trying to make the most of everything. And also showering. I try to shower as much as possible as well.
I'm glad that makes it in the list somewhere, so that's good. Given all that, though, you mentioned you're finishing up high school. Is there any plan for what happens after you are done with high school? And is it going to just be jiu-jitsu, or do you have other things that you're looking to do?
My parents want me to go to college. to pursue business, and I do want to do that. I definitely am going to jiu-jitsu. I am doing jiu-jitsu. That's what I've set my goals to be. It's what I've set my life to be, and it's what I've set my mind. Everything in my body wants to jiu-jitsu, and it's not also what I want. It's just what I'm good at. It's what my body was made for. It's what I love to do, and it's what my characteristics and everything just screams to do jiu-jitsu. I do want to get a business degree, and I do want to have something back to fall on. Maybe if it's real estate, if it's being smart in stock markets, if it's learning how to be a salesman, any aspect in business, I'm open because I love business. I love talking to people, and I love persuading people to do what I'm persuading them to do, which is basically business. But also, jiu-jitsu is business. If you are going to be a successful jiu-jitsu practitioner, you need to be good with talking to people and good with making deals and good with selling yourself for what you're worth and for what you believe your worth is. So I feel like college and business will only help me out with jiu-jitsu. It will make me know what I'm worth, and it will make me know what I'm capable of doing and how to do it. So my goals right now are just train and look for opportunities. Every opportunity that comes my way, accept it, and just keep being the best person I can on and off the mats. And opportunities will come if I'm looking for them and I'm keeping myself open. So that's just basically my plan right now, and hopefully it works out.
Good for you, man. That's a really good game plan. It's actually nice to hear people who want to do the jiu-jitsu path, but also have a very good plan that, hey, listen, you can't compete forever at the highest level. You can compete as long as you want, but like, what you're going through, the tough grind that is. Doing that forever is harder to do as you get older. So having a good backup plan and having just a contingency in case something does go wrong is something that we always very much endorse. So that's pretty cool, man. And is this your last year, or do you have one more year? I'm lost at what school is these days.
I'm a senior in high school. This is my last year in high school. I graduate in May. Hopefully, I graduate in May.
Well, you better graduate in May. There's no ands, if, or buts about it. Like, there's going to be a call from your Rafa Esparza to your parents right now. It's going to be like, this kid's telling me he's not graduating in May. He's going to graduate.
I have good grades. But yeah, I'll be graduating in May. But yeah. And also, hopefully I can just keep a smile on my face and stay as less stressed as possible in life. And hopefully, I'm working so that things will come to plan, because I feel like a lot of people, they hope for stuff to happen, but they don't put in the work for it to happen, and then it never happens, and then they stress out about it. But I feel like when you put the work and you put the dedication and you show that you deserve it, it will work out. I mean, that's just what it should be. If you're showing the work and you're putting the dedication and you're doing more than anybody else is, people will see that, and people will realize that you're the person they need. And that's just what I'm trying to do.
Well, that's awesome, man. It sounds like you've got a good plan. It looks like, you'll still be able to be doing some awesome jiu-jitsu matches while you're going to college. So we're already looking forward to that. And as I mentioned before, I mean, you've put in a good resume. A lot of us have taken note of it. A lot of us are probably afraid to roll with you already. But there's a lot of good stuff that you and your team are doing. And as just kind of a witness to what you guys are, there is something very cool to see in a can-do spirit that you guys have, not only as a team, but individually stood out in very different ways in a very competitive atmosphere. So when I see you guys succeed, I know there's not really a surprise in it. I'm just happy that I get to see you guys continue to get elevated platforms. And, especially, it can be hard sometimes when you have a brother that's very good at something that sometimes people want to try to position those things as being against each other, but you guys being so simpatico and so together on this is a testament to the way that your family has raised you guys and just good character, because every time I see you guys, I'm talking from Gordon Ryan to the nicest of people in jiu-jitsu. Like, the full spectrum of individuals have a true appreciation for your games and just you, and I think that carries well in our sport.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So before we get on out of here, can we take care of any sponsors for you? Can we take care of anybody who's been helping you? You can feel free to shout out who you do or do not want to. But I want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and shout out those people who helped to not only get you prepped, but who keep you in the form of having great jiu-jitsu, sir.
Awesome. Well, I don't have any jiu-jitsu sponsors right now. I'm waiting for that right company for me. So whoever is available and whoever would like to join my journey, you're welcome, and I'm open to talk business. But right now, I want to thank my professor. He supplies me with gear, and he helps me with tournaments, and he helps me with fees. And I want to thank him because he is an amazing person. I also want to thank Restore Arboretum. They help me with my body. They help me with cryo, compression. They have IV drips. They have all sorts of cool stuff to help your body recover and stay in the right order every single day. And I also want to thank Dr. Bob as well. His business is called Spinal Research. In Austin, Texas. He specializes in spinal repair and neck and all sorts of stuff to do with your body. I want to thank him for being there for me and keeping me healthy and making me be the best athlete I can. And that's it. And that's basically all the people I have. And also my parents. My parents are my best sponsor. Your parents are basically a sponsor. They believe in me. They help me out. They see my dreams and they help me accomplish my dreams. And I want to thank my mom and dad for being there and just helping me accomplish my dreams.
It's very nice. I think they'll appreciate it if they see this. So you've crossed all the I's, T's, all that good stuff. Again, I just want to tell you, man, I'm very impressed with the resume that you're putting together. It seems like, as somebody who's gone through the college route without jiu-jitsu, you're in for a fun time. But it does sound like you are going to have something that is going to make you work that much harder to accomplish your dreams. Like, if you already know that jiu-jitsu is kind of the thing that you're using the business degree to kind of increase opportunities for you, and in addition to the other things that it will afford you, I think you will find a lot of great things as you continue to pursue that. And it's going to fuel you with that kind of passion like you have, like you're competing. So I look forward to great things. And I'm already looking forward to what they come up with for Third Coast Grappling, because, again, I feel like they're not done on the shenanigans. Every time I talk to Ryan, and I kid you not, I have said this to him in person and on these things, is I said, why are you trying to kill the Tackett brothers? Like, I understand they're up for it, but, like, at your core, why are you trying to murder them? And I think his words, if I remember correctly, were to me, especially in your case, where he goes, Andrew's just up for it, man. Like, he's game to do whatever. And I said, yeah, no, he looks it. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and close this up real quick. I'm going to say bye to you off air, but I want to thank you, Andrew. It's been a long time coming, and I have all the appreciation in the world, and congratulations on your win. I don't want anybody to take anything away from it, because as difficult as the situation was, you really did earn it. And it really was truly impressive that you were able to showcase your jiu-jitsu at a very high level.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. I'll see you off air in just a second, dude.
Thank you, sir. You have a great day, and I'll see you in just a second.
All right. All right, everybody, here's what we're doing. A couple quick reminders. So, number one, if you would like to see more interviews like this, go over to this side. Look at these different places. Follow us at Grappling Hour on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can find all of our Grappling Hour content on all of those pages. And if it would really be, not too much to ask, it'd be great if you give us a 5-star review over on our Apple Podcast page. In addition to all those things, catch us on Verbal Tap. We're about to record that probably in the next couple hours here, and we will be doing an over-under Kevin for UFC 257 with friend of the show, one Richard Red Alarcon, who's going to take on Kevin's UFC 257 picks. I'm looking forward to getting Red to talk trash to Kevin Phillips. I guarantee you that will be fun to hear. That's going to do it for us here this week. We've got more stuff coming in the wings. We've already talked to our good friend Shane Shapiro, who will be joining us on a future episode of Grappling Hour. But for right now, we're going to close up shop and just say thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats. Eventually.